Alright, everybody, welcome to the very first Flyover Barncast here. Got Ray next to me. I'm Drew, obviously. We're going to be focusing mainly on sports, but we're also still some gaming. Pretty much, who knows? We could just rattle on about fucking cat litter, for all we know. Because we tend to ramble on about stuff. We do have a list of subjects. Do you want to start off with anything, or?
Well, don't really have a structure for this. This is our first ever time doing this.
Yeah, there's probably some kinks.
Yeah, because we're going to be talking a mixture, sports, some video games, some wrestling. Kind of depends. I know on our list we have both NFL and college, but college is going to be sooner. So.
And we can talk about other stuff, too. Like NBA restarted its free agency here soon. They passed everything.
Yeah, I know. Lakers actually just announced they will not have fans
I don't expect
to start. I don't expect a lot of teams to have fans to initially start, but I do see teams the biggest hurdle they're going to run into, I think, for team-wise is going to be Toronto because of the closed. Yeah, because of Canada and U.S. closed border right now.
Right. They have enough money to get by it.
Yeah.
Or even then, Toronto can play somewhere else. That's not.
Yeah.
Because does home court really matter if there's no fans?
Yeah, no, and honestly, that's why the bubble is nice because
it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, and really, I have to commend them too on the bubble too. Just that's something else to bring up. So, that was rather successful.
I want to bring that up too. Baseball did a bubble for the playoffs, right? Baseball to me is the only game where without fans, you will have a difference between home baseball fields because every baseball field is different.
Yeah.
Wrigley has ivy. Boston has the monster. San Francisco has a brick wall. Yeah. And for that, they use the bubble. So what was the point of even having home field advantage?
Yeah, no, there was no point in home field advantage in baseball. Like basketball, those guys went out there and we saw some of the best basketball, like Jamal Murray versus Donovan Mitchell.
I didn't watch much, but their ratings were really down.
Yeah, but you also have to think too. Ratings is a false stat, in my opinion, anymore.
Is it?
Because of streaming.
So
streaming, I don't think because if you're watching on regular home television, that's the views that get counted, not really streaming platforms.
There's no way that they don't add streaming at all.
Yeah, I don't think they do.
Oh, they need to change that. I don't know. I didn't watch much of it. I think everyone knew. I mean, I'm glad the Heat got there because that was kind of unexpected. But I think everyone knew the Lakers were going to be the champions.
Yeah. Mainly because the Clippers were a disappointment because they had a great defensive team. They had a team that could get it done. The problem that they ran into is Paul George just went MIA in the playoffs.
Pandemic P.
He thought he was non-existent, show up for one game and was like, all right, let's go, and then that was it.
Yeah, I don't know if they would have beat the Lakers. I guess Kawhi would have been good to see, but even matchup wise, who beats Anthony Davis?
Yeah,
who's a free agent, by the way.
Yeah, he is a free agent, but I do see the Lakers re-signing him. I don't see him leaving LA. And if he did, LA won a ring.
Yeah, they won no matter what.
So
I know what I want. I want him to go home.
Yeah,
there is some things out there saying he might, but we don't really know. Free agency is not really hot right now
because it's still up in the air. What is free agency going to look like? Because of the pandemic, they did take a huge revenue loss.
Right.
So I don't know how that's going to look because a lot of teams have big contracts.
When did they say it? I'm trying to find because they literally just announced not too long ago.
Yeah, because the season starts in January, I believe.
Yeah, how about that?
And the draft hasn't happened yet either.
Yeah, I'm seeing mock draft as well.
Yep.
I don't know when that is. Is LaMelo? LaMelo just worked out for the Timberwolves. I got that today.
Yeah, and he's projected to go first overall.
I saw that too.
Most mock drafts have him going number one overall.
I can't find. Oh, there it is. November 20th, opens at 6 p.m.
Yeah, Anthony Davis is going to be the biggest free agent on this list.
It's Anthony Davis, and there's a big white guy.
You have Montrezl Harrell that's also there. Fred VanVleet, who...
Fred VanVleet was second when I saw it.
Yeah, Brandon Ingram is also... I think he's a restricted, though. Gordon Hayward's going to be a free agent. DeMar DeRozan's going to be a free agent. Gordon Dragic is going to be a free agent, but he's definitely getting up there in age.
Right.
But that's like really the top one. It's Anthony Davis, and everyone else.
That's funny. Yeah, I don't really see. We'll get into that later because not much. What's NHL doing?
They haven't really announced much. They did have their draft.
I don't remember the draft.
Yeah, no, they did have their draft. They're looking for another potential hub model.
Kind of like what they did.
Yeah, kind of what they did before.
They can do that.
It's hard to say because we're talking regular season now. With 82 game regular season,
right.
How are you going to cram that into a bubble?
Oh, but again, NHL is again another sport where without fans does it really make a difference?
Yeah,
because every ice rink is the same size.
But I also could see where everything's going that we could see them playing on their just home rinks and just not having fans or limited fans because like NFL has started. A lot of stadiums don't like. There's stadiums that don't have fans, and there's the stadiums that do.
Same for college football.
It's just limited capacity, just because it's what they have to do.
I'm a little up and down whether football needs one because their regulations are all the same.
Yeah,
but the weather could be like Green Bay is going to act completely different than like.
Yeah, because there is home
Arizona,
field. Like playoff,
I think is
in playoffs, there's home field advantage.
Just with weather.
Yeah, regardless. Weather alone. Like,
right.
No one wants to go up to Green Bay to play, but Green Bay's ready.
Well,
that's just
sometimes.
Yeah, well,
I've seen Favre lose to Vic.
Yeah, that did happen.
Just trying to think what all happened over the course of last week. So NASCAR had their final race, right?
Yeah.
Chase Elliott won a championship, and everyone loves Chase Elliott. That's the most popular driver.
Yeah, that's what I've universally seen on the internet is just people loving the fact that he won.
Everyone loves Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott's awesome. He's Bill Elliott's dad. By the way, I don't remember what year it was, 88 maybe, 89. Lakers won the championship. Dodgers won the World Series. Bill Elliott won the NASCAR championship. This year, exact same thing happened. Yeah. You might be wondering who's going to be in the playoffs, who's going to be Super Bowl. Don't worry about Super Bowl because it was Washington that won it, and they're not going to win. They're not going to win. But so I'm glad that Chase Elliott won, but their point system for motorsports is terrible. It is by far the worst motorsport system out there.
Yeah, that's what you've been telling me. I don't follow as much on NASCAR as I used to. Ever since Jeff Gordon retired, I've kind of
Well, it's not as good either. And I think the point system's part to do with it too.
Yeah.
Because that was around the same time period. So basically, I think there's 36 races. 26 races happen. They cut it down to the final 10. If you win, you're automatically in. Doesn't matter where you finish the rest of the season. But if you win, you're in throughout the whole regular season. After that, every 4 races, they knock people off. So there's 8, then there's 4, and then the 4 is the final. So there's 10 or whatever, then there's 8, and then there's 4. I'm a little off, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So Kevin Harvick won. Can you look that up? How many wins all the drivers had? Just look up NASCAR standings or something. Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin had, I think, together 15 wins.
Yeah. So here, Elliott, who won, had 5 wins, 15 top 5s. Ended up with 5,040 points.
Maybe. I'm just looking at this now.
Yeah, there's...
Okay. Let's see here.
Harvick had 9 wins.
Hamlin had 7.
Yeah. So to give you guys an idea, Elliott, who won, had 5 wins, 15 top 5s, and had over 5,000 points. Harvick, who has 9 wins, had 20 top 5s, only had 2,400. I know a lot of it also has to do with you finish races, where you finish in those other races, but that being still
that's terrible. Hamlin as well.
In 36 races, Harvick in 29 of them was top 5, winning 9 of them.
And that's not against Chase Elliott, because Chase Elliott's a great driver, and when it comes to road courses, he's way better than everyone else. Does it show average finishes on there by chance?
Does not show average finishes, and looking at some of these other people in here.
Cole Custer. I don't know what the rookie was, because Cole Custer won a race, but I think Tyler Reddick was better than him every single race.
Yeah.
I have no idea what happened there. But basically,
I don't recognize any of these names.
Kyle Busch is there.
Ooh, Jay Johnson.
He retired.
Oh, he retired.
That was his last race. He ran pretty good actually.
Yeah.
But he had a bad year.
Yeah, only 5 top.
He had a terrible
5s
year.
outside of that. Yeah, no.
Him and Kyle Busch will have terrible. Kurt did all right. But yeah, it's just basically in their current format, they keep taking people out, and then the last race is down to 4.
Yeah.
So keep in mind, if you won 35 races, and let's say you lose a tire on lap 5 of the final race, championship's over, you lost it.
Yep.
That's wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you can defend that. I get you want to make it more exciting. I kind of have a plan, but I really don't know how to explain it.
NASCAR is one of those things that when you try to balance out trying to find your winners, it's going to be hard because you have so many races, and then you honestly get down to that last couple.
Do you think they have too many races?
36, if that's how many they have.
They do 36. Most places they go twice. Next year's schedule is weird. They have next year they're going to have a dirt race at Bristol. Filling the track with dirt. I think that's a good thing. I think it'd be interesting to watch, but
yeah.
Which Kyle Larson will probably win because he's back now for Hendrick, and he's a dirt guy. But
yeah, that'll be interesting to see how they do that.
I want to watch that one.
That actually might get me to watch.
You gotta. I don't want to say don't watch it, but it really isn't as good as it used to be.
Yeah, I don't.
And I do think the point system has something to do with it, but I don't know. I guess that's hard to say. But I compare it to Formula One, which I brought that up too many races because 36 they usually go to both places. They usually go to everywhere twice, not quite everywhere, but most places.
Yeah.
Formula One just announced their schedule, right?
Yeah.
They have 22. They took off Vietnam, and there's one that's to be announced. But people were complaining that they have too many races. They have 22.
Yeah, that is a lot of racing. It just depends on how. But sounds like there's usually there's obviously a winner in almost every single one of them because there's a difference there.
There is one difference because I also think the Formula One point system is amazing, but the same guy wins every race.
That's not something against their point system. It's just
that might be something against the way they make their cars because the cars aren't even.
No.
And I don't know. There were some rumors about doing a reverse grid, so if you got first in the first race, you're going to start last. And then it just depends. So if you're first in the standings in race 6, you're going to start last. Stuff like that.
That might help make for competition.
Yeah, they don't run as many laps.
Yeah, giving other people some chances. I just don't know how that's going to work. I'm still learning on Formula 1.
It's fun. I like watching the highlights of it. It's hard to watch here because they're on at 7 a.m.
That's why I don't watch Premier League soccer because, again,
it's on at 7 a.m.
And that's I fully love watching soccer, but the problem is the guys I want to watch play at 7 o'clock in the morning. And I ain't about that life.
Hey, sometimes I'm still awake.
Yeah, well, you don't sleep.
I've been trying to fix it, but I think I just made it worse. I want to shift gears here to the NFL. So,
oh boy, the NFL.
Anything you want to say right now?
Oh, I'm going to say a lot here because I want to bring up Sunday Night Football. You had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the New Orleans Saints. Now, the first game was a little bit of a closer game. Saints ended up pulling it out. Brady didn't look terrible. First game with a new team. In the last couple weeks, Brady and the Bucs have been looking good. I mean, you might not like what happened, but they absolutely demolished the Green Bay Packers.
We are unbiased here.
We try to be.
Please ignore the Pittsburgh Steelers cap.
Yeah, don't worry about this. So don't worry about this. Trust me, we're gonna get to that subject in a second too. But
take it away, Ray.
Switching back to this, Drew Brees and the Saints looked phenomenal. Their defense was just on point. Everything was good. The Buccaneers, the biggest glaring thing, and this is the first time in 80 years, I think it was, they broke for the least amount of rushing attempts in the game. For the first time in 80 years, this was broken. They ran the ball 4 times.
That was a problem with Winston when he was there, too. They just threw so many times.
But they still ended up running 10 to 12 times a game.
I thought he was throw first. Always.
Bruce Arians' offense is an air raid offense. It is meant to throw the ball a lot. However, when you have Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette as your running backs, you got to give them the ball. Particularly with a 41-year-old or 42-year-old Tom Brady. I'm like, he's not a spring chicken. he's not young. He's still a good quarterback, but this game was awful. He threw the ball 38 times, only completed 22 of them for only 209 yards, and those 3 interceptions were terrible. 2 of them, one was the Antonio Brown, who looked like he was going to do a hitch, it looked like a hitch route, and Brady threw into 2 other defenders 10 yards past him. The second one was he was trying to throw the ball away and threw the ball away up the middle of the field. Right. Got the easy interception, and then the
let me see if I can pull it up here.
Yeah, and then the one interception was a tip ball drill. It was deflected at the line. I can't really blame him so much for that, but the other 2 were terrible. And when you have guys, here it is. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown are your 3 best wide receivers. With Rob Gronkowski, who may not be what he used to be, he has been injured a lot. But when you have these kind of pieces on offense and you only put up 3 points against New Orleans Saints defense, who has been suspect all year,
right?
It was not an ideal game for them.
Can I throw away Antonio Brown from that because he hasn't been there very long? He probably doesn't know the playbook as much.
He might not know the playbook as much. The reason I don't blame Antonio Brown being the problem that they lost the game, and I don't blame him for and I don't blame him so much for not having the best stats. He had 3 receptions for 31 yards.
That's pretty good.
Not bad for a first game in over a year.
I think that's pretty good.
The problem is these weapons are here. You need to be able to utilize them.
Whoa.
Yeah. No. Yeah. They had Taysom Hill in there.
I brought up the highlights up here. You can't see it, and we're not going to show it because we're not going to get copyrighted by the NFL.
Yeah. No.
I was not expecting that.
No.
Whoa. That should have been picked.
Yeah, it should have been, but it wasn't.
Pierre Paul.
Yeah. He.
By the way, Bucs defense should be pretty good too.
They should be, but it was this game. Yeah, nowhere close.
That was a terrible throw too.
It was a terrible throw, but there was no one
near
him for the first touchdown. And you blink, it's 21-0.
Excuse me, sir. I blanked. It's still 7-0.
Yeah, well,
we'll give it some time. I didn't watch this game. I heard it was a beatdown, and I saw a meme about Tom Brady on the sidelines.
Yeah, no, it was pretty bad. They punted the ball out of their first 5 drives. I think they punted on all of them. It was very rough. I mean, if you look at it,
how long was this? Okay.
The Saints had 420 total yards versus 194 for the Bucs. 138 rushing yards to their 8 rushing yards because, again, they only ran the ball 4 times. Yeah, they didn't run
the ball.
27 first downs for the Saints to 13 for the Bucs, and a lot of that came in the second half. Bucs also had 5 penalties for 39 yards. Some of those did help. They had 4 punts. I believe those all were in a row. 4 straight drives with, I think, 12 total plays or something like that. It was really bad. It was a really bad start. The
Bucs. You say 4 punts and 12 plays?
Or not 12 plays. It was a really bad start. I was bowling and drinking when this was going on and watching the game.
Thanks for the invite.
The time of possession, though, is a big differential. The Saints had 40 minutes of time of possession.
Well, it's because they ran the ball.
Yeah, they ran the ball and, had this. And Gronk dropped that one. That should have been a catch, but not
that would have been a tough catch, too.
It would have been a hard catch. Though. Yeah. But versus 19 Yeah, it was like 40 minutes and 4 seconds versus 1956. And it was bad.
See, that's one thing. I feel like a lot of people don't think this, especially going forward. People think all you got to do is throw the ball, which maybe that's true to an extent. But if you run the ball, you control the game.
Well, that's the biggest thing that, and you have to also, like what you said there, you look at the team like the Chiefs who have Patrick Mahomes and all these weapons, yet they went out and picked up Le'Veon Bell on top of the fact of having a rookie just to have a running attack.
Yeah, a running attack controls the game.
And because you need a run game. Like, if you don't have a run game, you're not going to win games.
The Chiefs don't have much of a hole on their team.
They don't. Their defense still has some issues.
But I said offense, not defense.
Yeah, no, their offense, there's nothing.
And Mahomes is probably...
watch this. Watch this. Whoop!
That's how you get hurt, sir.
Here's the thing. It's Taysom Hill.
So if he does get hurt, it's not the biggest deal.
And on top of that, he doesn't care. He likes physicality.
Right. Is it a touchdown? He got his. He threw, too.
Yep. Yeah, that was Emmanuel Sanders for a touchdown there.
But, yeah, that's just a thing. Because I look at you still got to be able to throw. And I think that's a problem that particularly the Titans have. Maybe Ravens as well, to an extent. The thing about Ravens is that even their pass game is a throw. Ooh, that one got tipped at the line, so that's one interceptions.
Yeah.
That one got tipped at the line.
Yeah, that was the tip drill one I was talking about.
Yeah.
And this is where the game just basically
goes out of hand.
Yeah, this is where it ends. Because this is where they immediately score after this.
That was just a good play.
Yeah, no, that was a phenomenal play.
Cam Jordan?
Yeah, Cam Jordan deflected that, and then,
because he was
a couple plays later. This wasn't exactly a touchdown, but yeah, they score.
Cam Jordan was talking mad shit on Instagram.
I mean,
I
does
don't know
that.
If you saw it, but he was talking mad. The Steelers do it too.
Yeah. He does talk a lot of smack. He does need to also be careful when he does talk smack, though, because he does come off sometimes sounding ignorant.
Right. I want to backtrack my Steelers statement because they don't really have. They don't really talk smack, but
they don't really have smack.
But they don't
talkers.
really look like they focus after games because the last two games, which were arguably penalties on the last plays, near the last plays of the games.
The Ravens game was a bad game for both teams.
I see. The only thing is, I see the locker room and they're like doing dances and stuff, which I get you win, but.
Yeah, they do have some younger guys on the team.
Maybe
defensively, it's not it's mainly Juju and some of the receivers.
I guess it's not so much you can do it, just kind of maybe keep it more private.
Well, that's the thing too. Is the locker room? You shouldn't have a camera on in the locker room. That pisses off Mike Tomlin.
We've had problems with before. It's Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Antonio Brown.
By the way, it's 28-0. I don't even remember half the scores.
Yeah, no, it was very quick on how these scores work, and then they kick a field goal and go up 31-0.
And then it was pretty much over.
Yeah.
So was that Tom Brady? Was all that Tom Brady's fault? Because I think he's only thrown one interception at this point.
It's not all his fault.
Or was it play calling for not running the ball?
They didn't run the ball. I mean, then again, they got down. They got down 21-0.
Yeah, once you get down big, you have to throw. But I mean, it's the fourth quarter. I haven't seen a run play yet.
Yeah, it was. They got down 21-0 with the beginning of the second quarter. Like maybe even halfway through the second quarter, you're down 21-0.
Yeah, well, right now
that is where you need to slow the game down because at this point the Saints are rolling, and then you turn the ball over because you're throwing the ball, and they just keep rolling.
They just keep throwing,
and you need
turn the ball over.
Yeah, no, I
think 21-0. I would still try to establish a run game.
Yeah, no, you should,
especially if it's early.
Yeah, no, you should establish a run game when you're.
But now it's 31-0, minute 49 in the second. Now you have to throw.
Yeah, and there's Antonio Brown. Yeah, he's wearing 81 with this team. 80 because I think 84 is taken. And I don't know who wears 17 because that's what he wore in New England for that one game against Miami where he scored a touchdown.
This quarterback. Oh,
that's the interception I was talking about.
That was
great
terrible.
Defense by Antonio Brown, though. But that was the interception I was talking about.
That was really bad.
AB was running a hitch. Like they showed it in the replay where he was coming back, and that was actually the right call because if he kept running, it's still like triple coverage. Antonio Brown ain't catching that.
Yeah, that should have been thrown. Is that a fumble? Or incomplete?
It wasn't a pick 'cause they didn't intercept the ball.
Yeah, it hit the ground. I don't know. Was it? I don't know if it's Tom Brady's fault or not.
It was a fumble.
I don't think Tom. Sounds like Tom didn't really help.
Yeah,
they
no,
only
he
scored
didn't.
3 points, right?
Yeah,
So they didn't score off this.
they didn't score off this.
Because that was a possible momentum shifter. They have to get a touchdown. Field goal does them no good. Oh, God. Pass interference? That didn't look like pass interference to me.
Yeah, they even got a
That
hand
was
knee.
terrible.
Yeah,
Well, hand. Might be holding.
yeah. But here's the thing.
I don't know about that one.
I
Kronk, you got to catch those. It looks like just a complete meltdown from the offensive standpoint. From everybody. Good play. Good pass defense.
Yep.
All right, so I've had enough of this game.
Yeah, no, it was not a good game on all fronts by the Buccaneers. Coaching, the coaching definitely takes a hit there. But that was my biggest thing on that. It was like the worst game I've seen of Tom Brady play. And I've seen some bad Tom Brady games. But usually he's good enough to get you at least 7.
Right, and he didn't even get 7.
And yeah, there was a lot of things that could have been done better.
And like you said, they're not running the ball. That's awful.
Yeah, no, and right there on that goal line where he faked the handoff and threw it, I would have ran it. You have 1 yard to go.
4th and goal.
No, the play before that one was 3rd and goal.
Okay.
4th and goal, I would have spread it 5 wide.
His difference is, I've noticed a lot of teams that are getting too cute, particularly the teams that I watch, are getting way too cute at the goal line. I don't know what it is. Just hand the ball off. See, I'm running the ball at the 1 on my own yard line, or at the 10 on my own 10 or whatever. Like I like running the ball. I'm a run first guy. I brought up the Chiefs Carolina game here. I want to talk about. I don't remember this game very well. I think Chiefs won pretty easily.
No, it was close.
It was close to the end, right?
Yeah, it was close to the end.
But then it was like
there was some mistakes made by Teddy Bridgewater and the Panthers that did end up losing the game there at the end.
Right.
But really, this is something that Pittsburgh suffered from this week. You have an 8-1 team, a 7-1 team in the Chiefs,
yes,
and an 8-0 or a 7-0 team in the Steelers. Both teams played down to competition because,
and they've been doing that all this year.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I'm gonna concern for both Steelers and Chiefs. You got time to figure it out, but you can't play down to your competition, man.
No, you can't.
Especially in the NFL.
I think come playoff time, these teams will be more focused because Andy Reid and Mike Tomlin are phenomenal coaches that if it's down to week coaching, will get it done.
But I'm also going to give you a warning, though, because the Raiders might sneak in there.
Yeah, because they're also talking about if there's a potential like large postponement or cancellation of games, they're going to increase the amount of teams in the playoffs by 2.
Well, so far we haven't had any.
Yeah, they're going to increase.
Well, we've had one rearranged, but
yeah, they're going to increase it. I know by like 4 teams,
right.
2 for each side. Yeah, they've rearranged them, but like that's what they've been looking to do.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to cancel because this last Thursday, San Francisco had a boatload of cases, and they still played.
Yeah, they still ended up playing. I mean, that and they ended up, having one receiver at one point.
They got completely manhandled.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea what that was. Maybe just a misthrow there. I didn't really watch this game.
I think the Chiefs. I think it was close. I think it was one of those games where it looks close. Was it actually close? I think they could have turned it up at any time, but still.
The Panthers are also a team you don't want to sleep on because their new coach, Teddy Bridgewater, is an underrated quarterback. He's unfortunately, yeah, that happened.
Oh, a fake punt! Oh, it's amazing.
Fooled everyone.
Look, Houston, take some notes. That's how you do a fake punt.
Oh, did Houston do a fake punt?
In the playoffs.
Oh.
Remember?
Oh, yeah. And then they completely lost that game because of momentum.
They blew the whole game. But, yeah, I think both the Chiefs. And first off, I think Patrick Mahomes. Russell Wilson was the MVP throughout pretty much the whole season. I think he had a bad game last game. I didn't watch it again. But
yeah,
he had a bad game, and that just shut her down. I think right now Patrick Mahomes is number 1.
Well, let's see, because that's actually what the next conversation I was looking to get
I would go Mahomes 1, Rodgers 2, Russ 3. Cook. Cook is up there as well.
There is a sleeper that is still there. Mahomes right now is completing 66% of his passes for 2,600 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 1 interception. A guy that needs to be looked out for, though, because when he has been challenged, particularly against 2 great teams, it's Josh Allen. This Seahawks game, he completed over 80% of his passes, 415 yards, 3 touchdowns against Russell Wilson in that team. He's completing almost a little over 68% of his passes on the season and has 2,500 yards, 19 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions.
Right. So
he's also having a MVP caliber season. I honestly think right now it's a kind of a toss-up. I don't know where Rodgers is on stats. I already know, though, if I were to look at his interception total, he has none.
Rodgers and Mahomes are very identical.
Yeah.
There's one big difference where Rodgers had one terrible game.
Yeah. And
statistically. And Mahomes hasn't had a bad game.
Yeah, and Russell Wilson right now is completing 70% of his passes for 2,500 yards, 28 touchdowns to 8 interceptions.
We'll just look up NFL MVP race. Let's do that.
I'm looking at individual stats too, because I can look up that too.
I'm gonna look up MVP race right now.
Yeah,
I can look up odds. Here we go. We got 10 NFL MVP candidates from NFL.com. This is kind of old.
Really, all 4 of these quarterbacks that we just mentioned are basically neck and neck with each other. Rodgers is the...
So, I have Dalvin Cook up there as well.
Yeah.
Because Cook is on fire.
He's on fire, but one thing I got to say, he's a running back. Running backs, receivers typically don't win MVP. I know. It's usually going to come down ultimately to the quarterback. Now, like I said, I've had instances where like a receiver or someone like that should have won MVP. Like a couple years back, Antonio Brown should have won MVP, but it went to Tom Brady because Tom Brady's a quarterback.
Yep.
And Antonio Brown had like a historically great year that year too.
And on the Rodgers,
that's how, like, that's an interception, but yet it's a completion.
On the Rodgers MVP thing, I don't know if this helps or not, but Devontae Adams would probably get a couple votes down the list because he's on the tear as well.
Well, I mean, you've got Aaron Rodgers is completing 67% of his passes. Has 117.5 rating, 2,500 yards with 24 touchdowns and 2 picks.
Right. This still has Russell as number 1, Mahomes 2, Rodgers 3, 4 is Allen, 5 is Brady, and 6 would be
Brady's gonna get knocked down.
6 would be Jackson.
I can't put Lamar up there.
I wouldn't put Lamar. But even then, there's such a big difference between Brady. Like, even if Brady's 5, there's like wide gap between 5 and 4.
Yeah, because those 4 quarterbacks we mentioned are playing lights out this year. Allen has taken a massive step forward in his career.
Right.
Because last year he completed, just going over his, he's been in the league now. This is his 3rd year. 2018 was his rookie year. He completed 50% of his passes, 2,000 yards, 10 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He was a rookie playing for the Buffalo Bills. They didn't really have a lot to offer weapon-wise, anything like that. Last year, he did take a step forward, completing 58% of his passes with 3,000 yards, 20 touchdowns to 9 interceptions with an 85 QB rating. This year, we are not even done with the season. He is completing 68% of his passes. Is almost the same amount of yards. He's at 2,500 yards, on pace to definitely hit over 4,000. Mm-hmm. He already has 19 touchdowns.
Does it have fumbles?
To 5 interceptions. He doesn't have fumbles, but fumbles, he only had a couple bad this year. But outside of that,
the first game he had 2.
Yeah, and he didn't have.
And I've also seen some highlights where he pitches it out of bounds, where it's not a fumble, but it.
Yeah.
Josh Allen, if you have a chance to watch Josh Allen, watch him.
He is an interesting quarterback.
I don't know what's gonna happen day in, day out, because he's gonna make the most perfect throw ever, and then he's gonna run 5 yards backwards, pitch it out of bounds.
His only so really bizarre. Bad game this year, statistically, was the game against the Chiefs, where he only completed 50% of his passes, but with 122 yards. But he did have 2 touchdowns and a pick, And And the game against Jets,
Yeah.
he completed 70% of his passes, had over 300 yards passing, but no touchdowns or picks.
He's bizarre to watch.
Yeah.
So, I got another game to bring up here because I know you want to talk about it.
Oh, we're going back to last week again, aren't we?
We are going back to last week.
Yep. So
You got stuff you want to say here, Mr. Pittsburgh man. We like to stay unbiased here. Take it away for the Pittsburgh Cowboys.
yeah, so that game, Pittsburgh 100% should have lost that game. The Pittsburgh Steelers have the best defense in the league right now.
I also watched this game, by the way.
Yeah. Look at the man run. Look at him run. Big Ben's my quarterback. No, this game was
unbiased.
Bad. This game was really bad by the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I got another game I want to bring up too after we're done with this.
Yeah. Like, they didn't show up in the first half. Like, they a little bit better in the first half compared to what they did against the Ravens. But it just wasn't. That should have been an interception, but.
Yeah. It should have been.
Yeah, that should have been picked. The referees in this game were terrible. Like, absolutely terrible. Pittsburgh only won because of them. They should have lost this game. Their defense got absolutely ran through by some no-name guy. I don't even know who the name of the quarterback is.
Gilbert, I think.
Yeah, some Gilbert. Like
G. Gilbert.
First ever game. This is this man's first ever game, and he almost goes out there and beats the Pittsburgh Steelers, the 7-0 Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, I don't know his first name. He looked good though.
He did look good against the league's best defense.
And you know what? If he keeps it up, you know who's going to be. You know who that really hurts? Dak Prescott.
I can't say that because this team has fallen apart without Dak.
But I'm saying if he keeps it up. I'm going to be real. If he plays like he did against this, he could win the NFC East with how bad that division is.
You're not wrong. Yeah, that division's terrible. You have the Eagles with Carson Wentz, who's the only starter that's a day one starter. Is Carson Wentz.
Yeah,
they might have a couple other pieces here and there, but like this is the biggest thing. Like, people knock on, like, Carson Wentz makes some boneheaded stuff, and he shouldn't be.
But he has to force it. He has
no one to throw the ball to.
He really doesn't.
You have the Giants, who lost Saquon Barkley in the game against the Steelers. He tore his ACL, and that was it for their season. Like, you lose that talent for the season. It's over. Plus, they traded away Odell Beckham Jr. to the Browns, and.
That was a lose-lose for both teams.
That was just not a good move. And we're not even going to talk about the Washington football team because they're irrelevant.
Still not used to hearing football team.
Yeah, no, it is definitely a change. I do feel bad for Kyle Allen was the quarterback. He had a nasty leg injury from what I heard.
Did he?
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, he ended up having an ankle injury. I guess from the sounds of it, it's very similar to
Smith.
Not Smith's injury, but to Dak's. But I don't think his was a compound fracture.
Smith is back, by the way.
Yep.
Has he been playing?
He has now been named a starter.
That's something to look out for because they could.
Yeah, they could go somewhere.
Because Alex Smith. I make jokes all the time, but Alex Smith doesn't throw it more than 8 yards.
I mean, he did have an entire season not throwing a touchdown to a single receiver.
Threw it to nothing but tight ends. And right when they replaced him, look what happened.
Yeah. I mean, he had a good year, too. Like,
and he's not a bad quarterback.
No.
He really isn't.
The 49ers are still wishing they kept him over Colin Kaepernick. But then again,
Kaepernick didn't make a Super Bowl, though.
He did make a Super Bowl. And the thing here, too, about Kaepernick, someone bring up, yes, there was the political stuff that he brought into it, and that's the reason he's gone. But his play was very comparable.
Not towards the end, though.
Yeah,
towards the end, he looked pretty bad.
Yeah.
Like, I think him and Bortles both had a collapse that were insane. Yeah. With that said, Kaepernick's ceiling went a lot higher.
I think Kaepernick needed a change of scenery, but because of all the politicalness, that took away from everything else, and he just found himself out the league. He could end up back into it. Teams are going to get desperate for quarterbacks. Would he be a starter, though? I don't know. It depends on the team. It honestly depends on.
I could see that.
Honestly, the team I could see him, like a team that would be like, all right, we need to get a quarterback, maybe make a push, would legitimately be the New England Patriots because Cam Newton is not playing good at all.
Cam does not look good. They squeaked by the Jets.
Ever since his injury against another game where a guy got hurt against the Steelers, back when the Steelers, it was 2018, the Steelers won 52 to 20. It was a wash of a game. That defense was everywhere, and Cam got hurt. And the Panthers decided, we're going to keep playing you. He should have sat down after that game, gotten healed up, and I think he'd be fine. But ever since that injury, he's definitely not been the same quarterback.
Right.
In New England, I don't think New England's in a weird spot.
I think New England, I never thought Brady was that important to the team, and I don't know if I can say that or not because while Brady I don't think he helped. I don't think he hurt the team.
That's what I was going to bring up is
Cam is hurting the team.
Brady typically doesn't turn the ball over. Granted, he's been doing that a lot this year. He's had 2 pick sixes this year. And really, end of his year, his last 2 games with the Patriots, he threw terrible pick sixes that lose them the games.
I saw a stat that said Tampa Bay offense has 50 less tackles than they did last year at this point in the season.
Yeah.
And when someone said, well, yeah, that's because every time Brady throws an interception, it's a pick six.
Yeah.
You can't tackle if it's going to be a pick six.
Yeah, and he's not throwing as many as Jameis did. And really, part of that is I can't really throw all of it onto Jameis. Jameis hasn't had a proper head coach until Bruce Arians showed up. He never had the development he needed as a quarterback to make that next step.
We'll see what Jameis does in a few years because he's in a pretty decent spot to learn.
I think, honestly, he's going to take over the Saints.
So what's something with Taysom Hill?
Taysom Hill's 30 years old. Yes, he would still technically...
He's a quarterback.
And he's thrown 10 passes. He's not thrown a lot. When I think of a starting quarterback, what am I going to get out of you?
He's going to be a future Brown is what you're saying.
Honestly, the Browns, it would be an improvement.
They would need him.
It would be an improvement at this point the way Baker's playing.
So I brought this game up here. Once again, you guys can't see it, but Ray can. Raiders-Chargers. See the end of this game?
Yeah. It's crazy end of the game. And honestly, Rookie of the Year, Herbert. Justin Herbert is the Rookie of the Year so far. He got put into a phenomenal position. And really the Chargers,
poor Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, poor Tyrod Taylor. You're not wrong there. Third quarterback, Josh Allen.
Wasn't even Josh Allen. He got benched for Nathan Peterman.
Yeah, Nathan Peterman. Then Josh Allen took over after that, and Nathan Peterman. That was a.
I don't know what they're. Tyrod Taylor at that point was the third best passer rating wise, not the third best quarterback, but
he was respectable.
Aaron and Russ were 1-2, and Tyrod Taylor was third, and they benched him for Nathan Peterman.
Yeah,
who completely ruined. And then he went to Cleveland. That team wanted Baker the whole time.
Yeah,
he moved to Chargers, and then he got stung by in his lung or something?
Yeah, by a needle.
What the hell?
Really,
that's
though,
so unfortunate.
Tyrod Taylor was a good option, but when Justin Herbert fell to the Raiders...
Chargers.
Chargers. When he did, that was the quarterback they needed to take.
Tyrod, before his time's up, I want him to get one team good that he starts on. I don't know if we'll ever get it.
Yeah, I don't think. I honestly think he's just going to be the backup to the Chargers to finish his career.
He just can't. He's only signed for 1 year.
1 year. And I don't know where he's going to go to after
XFL, baby. XFL MVP. I could see it.
I mean, it is a league now because The Rock owns it.
I could see it.
With someone else. I can't remember her name.
So is this the end right here?
Yeah, this is the end right here. This is crazy. I thought this was the touchdown.
I could see the ball land.
Yeah, right there. Now that I see it, now that I know the ball moves.
Ball hit the ground there.
Yeah. On initial viewing, you didn't see it.
Thank God they look at every single one, right?
Because
you're not going to see it at this angle.
Yeah, this angle you don't see it.
Is the ball moving? Good play by 31 too. His arms in between.
There it is.
It didn't hit the ground, but he didn't have control.
Nope.
Wow. Chargers just find ways to lose.
Yeah, this is like another game in a row where they third game in a row where they just lose in the final minutes.
People always talk about the Falcons
Well, the thing
blowing
is,
leads.
it's the Falcons blow leads. The Chargers just find a way to
lose.
The game is basically like really close at the end, and they just don't win.
Right.
Yeah, no, I'd say right now, Russell Wilson, MVP, Rookie of the Year, it's gonna be Justin Herbert. Tua has had 2 games, and people are like, "Oh my God, Tua's in the league," and he said, but both games have been mediocre. Like they have not been impressive games. Like honestly, I don't see why he's playing.
Well, the team is playing good though.
The team is playing good, but honestly, Ryan Fitzpatrick should still be the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins this year. Tua is coming off from an injury that took out Bo Jackson. Like it is legitimately the injury that took out Bo Jackson. Granted, medicine
it's completely different than it used to be.
Yeah, but you have no reason. You're not really going anywhere. Ryan Fitzpatrick is playing great. You're not gonna win your division because it's the Buffalo Bills' division to lose.
They could get the wild card, and then aren't they having 7 teams in?
Yeah, 14
so
teams.
They could sneak in there. I shift gears here a little bit. I have Notre Dame Clemson in front of me. College football. I know a lot about college football. Ray's not necessarily hip on college football. Do you know the storyline going into this game? Did you?
I don't know the storyline, but I know what happened.
Okay. Number 1 Clemson does not have Trevor Lawrence. He's out with COVID.
Yep.
Notre Dame picks up the dub. And it was close. Do you think Trevor Lawrence makes a difference?
Yes.
That big of a difference. Do you think Notre Dame is the best team in football, in college football?
With Trevor Lawrence, I'd say Clemson is.
Okay.
Because Trevor Lawrence right now, Fields right now, too, is the other prospect that's being talked about a lot. Trevor Lawrence is a great quarterback, and I think with Trevor Lawrence, I don't think Notre Dame wins this game.
So, where would you put Notre Dame in the rankings then? Because
I put him at 2.
you put them at 2?
I'd probably...
You still have Bama.
Yeah, but I don't...
You still have Ohio State.
It's a hard one to judge because you have the number 4 team beating the number 1 team. Yes, the number 1 team is without their starter. If anything, if you're going to move anyone, you'd probably put Notre Dame 1. I'd still keep Clemson at 2. Okay. If you were to move Clemson out of the first spot, they can only drop to 2 because I could not have them go any lower because with Trevor Lawrence, I think Clemson wins this game.
I probably agree that Clemson would win this game. I don't know.
I don't know what the score would be.
I'm trying to find the rankings of where they're currently at. Naturally, it's not loading up very well. But I don't know how far Clemson dropped back.
I can take a look real quick.
He's going to look it up real quick because my thing's not loading. I'm just getting notifications about PlayStation 5s.
Yeah. This is...
I have the Associated Press up. I don't think the playoffs are out yet. The playoff committee has said yet.
Yeah. I'm just trying to find the rankings.
So...
We're in week 11?
I have them right here. Mine's loaded up. Alabama's number 1. This is according to the Associated Press. By the way, right?
Yeah, I can see. I see it. I have the same thing up.
Okay. Bama, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Clemson.
I cannot put Alabama at 1.
You can't put Alabama at 1?
No, because I don't even know. 1, I don't even know who their quarterback is. 2, Notre Dame did just beat Clemson. And I think Clemson, with Trevor Lawrence, is the best team in college football. Without him, they're still a really, really good team to beat. Like, they still have a phenomenal defense, and they still have an offense with a lot of good pieces still in it.
Here's the scores of this year's Alabama's games. No, it's the second week.
Dear Lord. I mean, they are putting up a lot of points, but then again, the only team I've really seen them face, none of them are. Oh, the only ranked game they faced was against Texas A&M.
2, Georgia.
Yeah, but Georgia
was 12.
12, and Texas A&M was up there.
They'll play Auburn. Auburn is always close.
Yeah, we'll see how the Auburn games go.
I don't know if SEC really is the best conference out there.
No, I don't.
But
Because is Clemson ACC or SEC? Like
I don't remember. Is that bad?
Yeah, because
My brain has been. I don't think they're in the SEC. They're not in the SEC. They're in the ACC.
Yeah, right. That's what I was
right.
thinking.
My brain just had a thud.
Yeah, because Alabama's the best team in the SEC because they're SEC, right? Alabama.
Yeah, Alabama's ACC.
Yeah.
I think Notre Dame is ACC this year.
Yeah.
For just 1 year, because they're usually independent. I wonder what their finances look, because usually them going to a conference makes them lose money.
I don't know.
All right. Well, I got a couple scores for predictions here, and we're going to start with college because college is first. So the very first game I have written down for a good game to watch is Notre Dame versus Boston College. Now, you might be like, well, Notre Dame, if anything, they're one of the best teams in the league. And while Boston College doesn't look too great, they're not, like, ranked, I don't think, right?
Yeah, I don't see them in the rankings.
But Boston College has a history of beating undefeated Notre Dame teams. Not saying it's going to happen, but if history repeats itself, I don't know how many times they've done it, but they always play Notre Dame tough. Don't know why.
Yeah.
Now, with that said, I still personally have Notre Dame way up big. I don't know what you have predicted.
I'm going to say Notre Dame's going to win that game, but I don't know what the score. Because I'm not very familiar with how teams are looking. Like, if it's an unranked team, college football is one of those weird things, too, as you would think, but weird stuff can happen.
Anything happens in college.
Yeah.
Anything happens.
Just Auburn returning the field goal to beat Alabama with nothing on the clock, with no penalties.
I love that.
Level
That's one
of
my favorite
stuff I have seen while watching.
That's one of my favorite. Actually, that might be my second favorite college football moment. My favorite is Michigan State, Michigan, when Michigan drops the punt and Michigan State picks it up and wins the game on the final play of the game.
Yeah.
Michigan all they had to do was punt it and they win, and they fumbled it. That's my favorite one ever. But yeah, I have Notre Dame winning. I'm sure you do too.
Yeah. I'd say I think they're going to win by 2 scores.
Okay, so my second game, I have SMU versus Tulsa. I think SMU is ranked, but they're low ranked. There's more than one ranking.
Yep, SMU is ranked 19th. Tulsa's
not there.
Is not ranked.
So Tulsa's not ranked. SMU is. But I don't know what the gap is. I think they both lost one game. I don't think Tulsa has lost a conference game.
That's big.
Yeah. And I like you said, I think Tulsa will probably win it, but I haven't seen too much of that. But I do think that's going to be a big game to watch. I think it'll be a fun game to watch. The third game I got is Northwestern versus Purdue. Fun fact, right? Can you name all the undefeated teams in the Big Ten that have played more than 2 games?
No?
Okay. Ohio State, Northwestern, Purdue. That's it.
Well done.
Northwestern and Purdue are both undefeated playing each other.
Yep, and Northwestern is ranked 23rd.
They're ranked?
Yep, 23rd.
All right. Is Purdue ranked?
I don't see Purdue on this list.
So, they're both undefeated, but if you want to compare them to Ohio State, it's not even close.
Yeah, Ohio State's ranked 3rd. That gives you an indication. Ohio State's all the way up to 3rd.
I don't know if Northwestern earns the 22nd. If memory serves me right, Purdue likes to throw the ball, and Northwestern's wide receivers or defensive backs sometimes look a little shaky. I don't know too much. The one time I saw Northwestern play was against Nebraska, and Nebraska was trying to run or trying to throw, but they couldn't do much of anything.
Yeah.
Poor quarterback play. But I have Purdue winning this game. I don't think either of them are going to be in the Big Ten championship game. I don't know how the Big Ten championship game is going to work.
Well, yeah, because you missed like half the season.
Well,
currently.
They're only playing conference games. I'm talking about the Big Ten conference championship, which that's not a big deal. The problem is Wisconsin's kind of screwing it up because Wisconsin's only played one game. And Ohio State and Maryland got canceled this week. So you got teams that haven't played a game. And that's the other thing. Are the Buckeyes going to get in the playoffs? They're going to be 7-0, 8-0 most. 8-0, I can see it. 7-0? And if they're 7-1, they're definitely not getting in my opinion.
Yeah.
But who knows? Anyway, I have Purdue winning that. In my last game, I got Oregon, Washington State. I have it down, but I have no notes next to it. I honestly don't remember anything about that game.
I mean,
it was going to be a good game to watch.
Oregon ranked at 1-0.
Oh, that's right, because that conference just started playing.
Yep.
So we don't know much about those two teams. I'd probably say Oregon probably wins. I don't know too much about it, though. That guy was wide open in the middle of the field. Doesn't matter. Just go score a touchdown. No, he didn't. Stepped out of bounds. All right. And then for NFL, I got 5 games written down. First game I got written down is Buffalo, Arizona. I think that's gonna be a good game.
It's gonna be. I feel like that one's gonna be high scoring because you have Kyler Murray, who's playing phenomenal. Yeah, and Josh Allen, who's also playing phenomenal. You have two defenses. I think Buffalo's defense has the edge over Arizona's defense. It really is going to come down. Where is it at? Is it in Buffalo or is it in?
I want to say Arizona because I wrote Arizona second. Look it up real quick. I think that'd be a close game. I actually do think Allen will be the difference maker between a win or a loss. Because we were talking about earlier how he can be very inconsistent. Luna. Well, he has to stay consistent. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know you want to get on my pad. It is in Arizona. Yep.
Okay.
Which would give the advantage, I guess, more towards the Cardinals than it would the Bills because this time of year is colder, and Arizona is not cold.
Right.
And Buffalo is very cold.
I love watching the crowd storm the field like that.
Yeah.
I love it.
So
I don't know. I can see it going both ways. What's your prediction?
I'd probably ultimately the way I feel. I would say, hey, no claws. So, you figure yourself out, lady. Fine, I'll pay you. I would probably take the Bills 24-17. I think defensively, the Bills will be able to put up 20-plus points, like 24 points, and their defense, I think, won't allow a whole lot.
I would go similar. I would go 24-20.
I think a fantasy football player, I would hope that it's a shootout.
Yeah, you have Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I have Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins, but I just realistically see it like 24-17.
I think 24-20. I think it'll be close. I think it will come down to the last possession for the Bills.
Yeah.
And that'll be it. Second game I got written down is the Los Angeles Chargers versus the Miami Dolphins.
Now, that's an interesting game, mainly because...
You got two rookies.
Yeah, you have the two rookie quarterbacks. You have Tua, who the Dolphins were, like, really dead set on getting. The entirety of last year was tanking for Tua, basically, and then they ended up winning.
For Tua.
But they took Tua and they passed on Herbert, and the Chargers picked him up. And Herbert is by far the rookie this year. He has been playing phenomenal this year, and I could see, and that's a harder game to look at too because the Dolphins' defense the last 2 weeks have been very good. Not as good as against the Cardinals as they were against Jared Goff and the Rams, but they've been playing really good.
Right.
I see that game being very close. I think just the way the Chargers are, I think the Dolphins are going to win on a last-second field goal, 33-30.
So I have the Dolphins winning in a very similar fashion. I don't think it'll be that many points scored. I would probably go 27-20. 27-21 maybe. Last touchdown.
Yeah.
Or maybe 26 because you don't have to kick the extra point. That's kind of what I see happening. I see Miami winning. I think they're a more complete team. I don't know between Tua or Herbert overall because once Tua got in, results started happening.
Yeah.
We'll see. But I have Miami winning as well. Third game I got written down is Seattle Seahawks versus the Los Angeles Rams.
The way the Rams looked against.
Keep in mind, this is just what I think are going to be the best games to watch.
Yeah. I say after the loss against the Bills, I think Seattle bounces back and bounces back strong, particularly against a Rams team that has looked good in some games and not so good in the others. Their defense, I don't think is good enough to stop Russell Wilson, particularly with the fact that Metcalf is on another level right now. He is playing phenomenal. With the fact that they also have Tyler Lockett as well. I think that offense is going to be too potent for that defense. Like Aaron Donald is going to be a force, but you also have to look at the other defense having Bobby Wagner, who's also a big difference maker as well. I would say I would probably have the Seattle Seahawks winning that game, and I don't think it's going to be necessarily a close one because I just don't think the way Jared Goff and that team has been playing remotely well. I think it's probably going to be a, score roughly, 28-14. I just think Seattle is going to bounce back strong after a loss against the Bills. And after seeing what Jared Goff did against the Dolphins, it was bad. It was really bad, and I just don't have faith in this team to bounce back and be able to do well.
Right. I'm kind of agreeing with you. I think it'll be a 14-point victory for Seattle. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sold on the Rams. I haven't really watched them much. I know Seattle has been on a tear. Like you said, Metcalf. I don't know if I'd put Metcalf in elite territory yet.
His stats, if you were to pair him up through the same amount of games, he is slightly better than Megatron right now, and statistically, that is. And this year alone, he has been very, very good. Now, I'm not saying he's Calvin Johnson because Calvin Johnson, a Hall of Fame talent, and was wasted by the Lions, and that's a conversation for another day.
I just don't know if he compares to like Julio and
I think
Hopkins
he's better than Julio right now.
and
Julio isn't
and Adams and stuff like that.
Yeah, Devontae Adams is on a tear. I'd still have DeAndre Hopkins as the best wide receiver in football. He might statistically not be up there as like someone like Devontae Adams who's just gone off.
I think Devontae is up in stats. He's actually played less games too.
But DeAndre Hopkins, when he is throwing the ball, doesn't usually drop it. He's not.
That's a problem in Green Bay on its own.
That he is also hard to guard, and still to this day, I'm still dumbfounded in the fact that the Texans traded him.
Yeah, I don't get that trade. That trade makes no sense. And it really doesn't. Because
you didn't get a first-round pick out of him. Like, if you're going to trade away that level of talent, you don't take on a bad contract in, like, David Johnson. You don't not get a first-round pick from a team. For crying out loud, the Antonio Brown situation is another one. That's, like, the one time I can say getting a third and a fifth for a receiver was a good choice.
Right.
But, like, Stephon Diggs, the Bills gave up a first for him.
I forgot about Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, and that's also, I think that's the biggest reason why we've seen Josh Allen's stats go up this year is because he's got a number one to throw the ball to.
According to Pro Football Focus, it's number one is Devontae in the league. And despite missing a couple games, he's pretty much dominating everything. Only 1 in 4 receivers with at least 50 targets and 0 drops this year. 2 games with 170, and the rest of the NFL combined has 5. No player other than Adams has more than 1.
No.
Despite missing 3 games, really, Adam is one of only 11 players with at least 7 catches of passes, throwing at least 20 yards per in the air. He's catching almost 75. He's catching a little over 75% of his targets. Adams is killing it. That's why I had Adams almost borderline in that MVP race.
Yeah.
Because if he played every 16 games at the rate he's going, he'd almost be 2,000 yards. That's insane.
And then a big game to look out. Like, we're probably not going to have an undefeated team in the NFL after this week. The Pittsburgh Steelers face the Cincinnati Bengals, and it is sounding like Ben Roethlisberger will not be there.
Yeah, Ben won't play.
Because of COVID. Don't know if he necessarily has been exposed to it or he has it. He has not been confirmed out of the game yet. I know he's on the list. I think we're waiting on test results back. But if Ben Roethlisberger does not play in this game, I see with Joe Burrow, the Cincinnati Bengals, coming on top, because that is how little faith I have in Mason Rudolph, who had a chance last year to do well. I mean, granted, last year with him, the Steelers did beat the Bengals in both games. They did win both of them. This
year's a completely different team.
Yeah.
Bengals are kind of sneaky.
Bengals will be sneaky, and the Steelers, they're due for a loss. Honestly, they should have lost last week. Like I said, they should have lost against the Ravens should have beat them. But the Steelers defense showed up, and once again and this will probably have to be a conversation for, particularly after the next Steelers-Ravens game, depending on how that goes, a conversation about Lamar Jackson in big-time games. Because Lamar Jackson, against the league, is phenomenal. In games that have mattered, not phenomenal. He has been terrible. In the 2 games against the Pittsburgh Steelers that he has played, he has thrown 5 interceptions, and he's turned over the ball, I think, 7 or 8 times.
We like to remain unbiased here.
I know. I'm being unbiased. I'm being, just kind of spitballing stuff out right now because we did have Lamar Jackson kind of, on that borderline near the MVP race, and I just could not have him there.
Right. We're going to fast forward. My next game I have written down here. I want to know how these 2 teams react. I got Tampa Bay, Carolina. Both teams lost last week. Tampa Bay looked horrible. Carolina didn't look bad.
Carolina faced a high-octane team and did exceptionally well against them. I saw weakness within the Buccaneers last week.
But do they bounce back?
With Tom Brady, I wanted to give them the opportunity to say they will bounce back and win this game. I don't think it's going to be a one-sided affair, though. I think it's going to come down to a Tom Brady 2-minute drill, final drive of the game to win. However, they have to run the football. If you make Tom Brady throw at this point in time, throw the ball almost 40 times in a game, I think you're going to beat them.
So, what would you say the score would be?
I honestly think it's going to not even be a high-scoring affair. I'm going to say it's going to be probably 21-17 or something like that. It's going to be a very close game.
Okay.
Just because Carolina is going up against one of the better defenses in the league, even though they did not show that against
No, they didn't.
Then again, that defense was put in a lot of bad spots, too.
So, I'm going to go with the upset here. I'm going to say 24-3 Carolina. I think, because we had this earlier in the season where Brady, when he threw 1 or 2 interceptions, he did it for 2 or 3 games. Actually happened last year a little bit, too. I think Brady will go out and throw another bad game. I do think they'll get it figured out in 2-3 weeks.
He's not the elite quarterback he used to be. And this is, kind of just bringing something up, Max Kellerman, Spring Up First Take, got a lot of flack a couple years ago saying that there's a cliff coming for Tom Brady. And he didn't inherently fall off a cliff. But last year, he didn't have the greatest weapons in the world. And he kind of fell off a little bit. Not the best season in the world. And it just looked like it was just time to be over in New England. This year, however, he's gotten everything he's really wanted out of a team.
And he still had a couple clunkers.
Yeah, and he's not the quarterback. Tom Brady, in his prime, with this kind of a team, that team's undefeated. Because when you got a guy like Randy Moss, what happened? They went undefeated, lost to the Giants in the Super Bowl. Love it. One of the greatest Super Bowls I've watched, even though I'm kind of biased on this one. I still say the game against the Cardinals was one of the best I've ever watched.
Well, I mean, If you want to talk about the best I've ever seen.
Well, it's the only one you have seen.
Technically, no. Technically.
I've seen 2. I've seen 3, but I've seen them win 2.
I've technically seen 3. Was not old enough to remember the first 2.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got Carolina winning because I think when Brady has one game, I think 2 or 3 more follow.
And they don't have any momentum at all.
Yeah.
Because it's not that they he had a couple bad games, but they still were respectable.
I don't see it. I don't know why.
This game was just bad.
I could still see Tampa Bay bouncing back. I could see it, but I'm just going to go on a limb and say Carolina
Another
wins.
week with Antonio Brown on the offense, but that's a storyline in itself.
Antonio Brown is a storyline.
Because what is he going to be like? I can't imagine him acting out this because this is his last shot in the NFL.
It sounds like coach is already upset with him now.
That coach is upset with everyone. Like Bruce Arians is upset with everyone, and honestly, Bruce Arians is also a problem in that team.
Yeah, I don't know. Everyone keeps talking about how he's actually a coach, but I don't know.
He was a better coordinator. I would know this because he used to be a offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he was great.
I could see that being a better coordinator.
He was there when Antonio Brown was drafted.
So he already knew what was going on.
Yeah, he already knew. He already knows about Antonio Brown. That's why he didn't want him to start the season, but Tom Brady wanted him, and Tom Brady gets what Tom Brady wants.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No. We like to remain unbiased here. No comment. Next game. I got written down here is next game I got written down here is Denver Broncos versus the Las Vegas Raiders. That feels weird to say still.
Raiders won that one. And
I got Raiders winning as well.
I don't have that game close because the Broncos are a team that is in a weird spot. I think they have a quarterback. I don't know. They have receivers. They have 2 great running backs in Melvin Gordon. The fact that they have Melvin Gordon on top of the fact of having now I can't remember his name.
I don't remember. I don't know Denver that well.
They have 2 great running backs. Jerry Jeudy's been really good for them. They have a couple other guys on there that's really good. Their defense does not have Von Miller. Von Miller had a season-ending injury to start the year off, so they did not have Von Miller going into this season. That hurts because Von Miller is that much of a force. Mm-hmm. Because of that, the Raiders are a team that I think they should run away with this one. However, Raiders are also a team that will just not show up.
Right. I think I have Raiders winning. I think it'll be close. I think it'll be a high-scoring game, actually, because I don't really trust. I don't trust the Raiders' defense, but I don't trust the Denver's offense.
Yeah.
So, in a weird spot, I kind of think it'll be close but high-scoring. In a weird sense, because I think the Raiders can score on the Broncos, and I think the Broncos can score on the Raiders because they're both bad. Basically, when the Raiders have the ball is when you want to watch.
Yeah.
And when a situation like that happens, usually the offense is going to win. Just because the league in general is more offense happy right now. Yeah. And I'm a big fan of John Gruden. He made a dumb trade with Khalil Mack, and I don't know if it was necessarily him that made the trade or the owner. But
that trade I still think haunts them.
I almost think they won the trade. Because what have the Bears done?
Well, Bears really haven't done much with it, but it's not because of that issue.
It's not because of that problem.
No. Nagy is not a head coach. He's not a head coach.
Well, Bears also have 2 quarterbacks. When you got 2 quarterbacks, you really have 0.
The thing is Trubisky was doing well. He got hurt, and ever since then he hasn't really done exceptionally well. And I think part of his growth is also the coaching has not been inherently good. And then you add the fact that they then, instead of trying to help build up Trubisky, be like, yeah, we're just going to sign Nick, or we're going to trade for Nick Foles, take a cap hit that they didn't need to take. And that hasn't worked out at all because their offensive line isn't the best. And Nick Foles can't really
do anything.
Run where Trubisky
can run.
Could.
Trubisky can run but can't throw.
Yeah. It's a situation where you have bad coaching.
Going back to Vegas here, the Raiders. I have the Raiders winning against Denver. I would say probably 40-35, something like that.
Very high scoring.
I think it'll be a high-scoring game. I really do. I think the Raiders will score a lot because they're going to be on the field a lot. And I think the Broncos will score because they'll go right. I think the Broncos will go right down the field. Raiders will take a little more time. But I think the offense will beat defense 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
That's the last thing I have on my list of stuff to talk about. I got one more thing to maybe want to talk about. I want to close it up here.
Yeah.
We looked at it before. So AEW has a video game coming out. We looked at the trailer. Your thoughts on it, I guess.
So it is in early development, and it's made by the company Ukes, who worked on WWE's flagship games for years.
SmackDown series,
like
pretty much.
the SmackDown versus Raw series, and then WWE 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, all the way up to 19.
Pretty much since 1998. Their first game was SmackDown.
Yeah, they've been working on every single title.
What was the first SmackDown called?
Know Your Role.
It was Know Your Role?
Yeah, Know Your Role.
What was
then
number
Shut
2?
Your Mouth.
No, Shut Your Mouth was 4.
Here Comes the Pain.
Here Comes the Pain was 5. Just Bring It was 3.
3.
There's 2 more.
Yeah, there's a lot. I can't remember.
I don't know the first 2.
But Ukes is basically was integral with WWE games for over 20 plus years. They moved on from them. I don't know what happened between. I think it was a 2K thing or the Take-Two Interactive.
I think it was a 2K thing.
Had something where
they bought Codemasters, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah, so Formula 1 games and dirt games will now be Take-Two. Will be 2K.
Hmm.
Yeah, fun fact. Continue.
Yeah. So, and WWE's flagship game, WWE 2K20, was the first game that Ukes was not a part of, and it was bad. Like, the year became 2020 and the game stopped working bad.
In all fairness, a lot of things stopped working in 2020.
Yes, it was a sign of things to come, but I'm just saying the game literally could not be played unless your console was set to 2019.
SmackDown 1 was called just SmackDown, and the next one was Know Your Role.
Yep, so Know Your Roles too. But yeah, no, I
have that game, by the way.
They were such an integral part of the games, and now AEW is working with them. I really did not like what I saw, because the biggest thing I wouldn't mind out of a wrestling game is more realistic take on it. Having the ability to have like a GM mode like the other games have, but more of a realistic take. Simulation versus arcadey, because you can have arcade wrestling games are going to be fun, no matter who it makes them. But simulations it really needs, like, that's more of the demand.
Right. Because we looked at the trailer, the models look horrible.
Yeah, models.
I think the character models look like WWE All-Stars.
Yeah, it looked like WWE All-Stars, but in a simulation-style game.
Right, maybe not that profound, but it looked like they took an action figure and said, scan it, there's our guys.
Yeah.
I don't know about the game modes. There's not much stuff released.
They are having a GM mode.
Well, that wins.
They will have a GM mode in the game, because that is, but I
heard, was it Omega saying that he wants more arcade games and the people want No Mercy?
Yeah.
Is that what he said?
Yeah.
I'm trying to find if there's any more. I'm trying to find gameplay or something.
Yeah.
I heard someone say that the sound effects are terrible.
Yeah, I don't know if there's actual gameplay out there. And they have also said, and there's been disclaimers on every single one of the videos, this game is in early development. So this is probably super early.
I don't think, usually when they say in development, what they showed is pretty much the
route they're looking to take the game.
That's pretty much the game, unless that was an in-game engine. But
I really hope that was an in-game engine, because that did not look good.
But what I have to say is that's pretty much what we're going to get, is what we see right there.
Yeah.
Usually early usually means they're either in late alpha or early beta.
Yeah.
And I know in some senses, beta basically means then.
It'll be interesting to see as we go into 2021, WWE Games will be releasing a main series game in 2021. They have changed directors.
Do you think maybe that's why they're making the game like this to compete with Battlegrounds?
Probably to compete with Battlegrounds. Battlegrounds hasn't been very...
Is that out?
It's out, but
I had no idea it was
not
out.
very
I had no idea it was out.
It's there. It's a placement game, basically, is what that became. Because the main series games will be coming out, I believe they say 2021 is going to be a release year for them. They have changed up directors, and he actually had, for a 2-week time period, Q&A after Q&A with the community of what do we want to see in the next game. And the biggest thing that was always a turnout, GM mode. And that's something that they're going to take into big consideration is adding into their games in the future. They do need to update their engine, which is what they're going to be doing, which I also think was a good reason to skip this year because of the console launches.
I've been wanting them to skip it for a while.
Yeah, and they need to update their engine. Fix their controls, because the controls before, you can say they were kind of arcadey and kind of simple. It kind of pressing the same buttons here and there, but they were easy to know. You can go in and have fun. The controls of WWE 2K20 were terribly redone, and really that needs to be able to be changed. And I really hope and I think that they can pull off and maybe continue being the best wrestling game series out there. But it's just gonna be interesting to see what direction they take.
Right. I think WWE games peaked in 06-07. And you can say sooner than that too, because of Here Comes the Pain.
Yeah.
But if you play 06-07, it's a little fast paced, but they still have simulation elements in it.
Yeah.
It's not all arcadey. And I think that's where I think.
And out of the 2K series, 19 was the best. 19 is still universally played.
That's the latest one. That
second latest one. 20 is the latest.
Which one's? One. Yeah, it's Seth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Seth was 18.
Oh,
this is the one with AJ Styles on it.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, 19 came out.
I think the last one I played had Stone Cold on it.
Yeah, it was 2K16. Because 17 was a change in engine.
Well, they're still using the same
core engine, but they changed up graphically.
They added 2 things and said new engine.
Yeah,
because the sports.
There is a little bit of a difference in it. If you were to look at it from 16 to 17, there is differences.
A more realistic thing would be updated engine.
Yeah,
it's an updated engine with a new name.
Yeah,
because EA does the same thing with Ignite, Frostbite. If you play Madden 20. Go back and play Madden 15, which was supposed to be 2 different engines. Then go back and play Madden 10. There's going to be a difference, but they're all the same animations. Yeah. They're all the same style. It's not that big of a difference.
They just added the Frostbite engine, but aren't actually utilizing the Frostbite engine.
I mean, it loads faster.
It does load faster, but it's not utilizing what the Frostbite engine can do.
We'll see what that does for next gen. Apparently, 2K next gen is amazing.
Well, I mean, their jumps from what they did on the PS3, Xbox 360 to the new consoles was huge.
And it was already good, too.
Yeah.
2K basketball is probably the king of sports video games.
Yeah, because it's realistic.
2K, I would have Formula 1 up there as well because it's a sport. MLB The Show is up there, but they're kind of...
But outside,
they don't do much.
And then outside of that, though,
then after that, it's just
Madden needs competition or something needs to be done with the game. Because
I think Madden needs a complete overhaul.
Yeah, it needs an overhaul.
I think Madden needs an overhaul. NCAA needs. I think NCAA was better when Madden was around.
But as bad as Madden is, it still is significantly better state right now than the NHL games.
The NHL games are terrible.
NHL 14 was really good. Added some really good stuff, and then the jump to next gen, new technology, addition to do all these new things, and
I remember
15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20 basically all played the same.
I remember going to GameStop, spending $120 on Destiny and NHL because they came out the same day. That might have been the worst $120 I've ever spent.
Destiny at least turned into something and is still going strong today.
I mean, it's still going.
With Destiny
But-
2, NHL's games just did not.
I think Destiny 2 is better than Destiny 1. But
Well, I mean, they
I wouldn't
optimized
play
what they
either of
did
them.
in the first one.
Hello. Where's
Oh.
Riz?
Upstairs, getting into stuff.
I haven't seen him all day.
Yeah, he's
I haven't seen him the
getting
whole
into
session
stuff
anyway.
upstairs.
All right. Well, that's going to conclude our very first part. Flyover Barncast. Barncast, everybody. We still have probably some kinks to work at. We'll try to get this out in the morning. We record this Wednesday night. If you want to see us live, we thought about going live, but I think tonight probably best to not do it live.
Yeah.
And I can add stuff after too. There's not much to add since
Yeah.
it's a podcast, but it is what it is. Say bye, Luna.
She's probably licking it. Oh.
Oh well. We'll see you next week. Have anything you want to talk about? Say down below. People watch this.
Yeah, hopefully they do.
I think one will probably watch it. But yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here, and catch us next week. See ya.